Hello, Tech Pros, episode 266.
Get out of your own head. Do something different. And if you're getting stuck, maybe it's time to move on to something else.
Welcome to the podcast where we explore the opportunities, challenges, and anxieties that technical professionals and techpreneurs face when building their career, building their products, and building their business. This show is about the people behind technology and the mindsets and skill sets they developed that led to their success. You can learn more about this podcast and our guests at hellotechpros.com and about overcoming social anxiety at anxietynerd.com. All right, let's get started. Hello, Tech Pros. This is Chad Bostic, and I'm excited to introduce our featured guest today, Shayla Price. Hey, Shayla, how's it going today?
It's going well. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic, man. We're just kicking off 2017. I'm having a blast doing it. There's a lot of big changes for me personally and in the business, and I'm just so super excited. And I know that we're like, as we're recording this, we're already, well started in January, and by the time people are listening to this, it may be someday way in the future, but I just got really good feelings about 2017. And so I'm going to take this super high motivation, passionate energy level into this conversation and throughout the rest of the year because, I don't know, I'm just happy to have good things come my way, and one of those good things is Shayla Price. So Shayla Price creates and promotes content. She lives at the intersection of digital marketing, technology, and social responsibility. Originally from Louisiana, Shayla champions access to remote work opportunities, which I found amazing and outstanding, and absolutely yes, all of the above, because 2 years ago, I decided to move across the country and start a new career, which Shayla, you and I had briefly chatted about right before we hit record. But now, just last year when I launched Hello Tech Pros, it's been less than a year that I've been working from home and spending a lot more time with my family. I don't have that hour commute each way. I don't have that 10 hours in the office. So that's like 12 hours a day potentially that I get to be around my wife, around my daughter, and anybody who thinks about a remote work opportunity from me, I would say, like, go for it, chase it, like, try it. See if it's for you. Some folks it's not for, but other folks, yeah, absolutely give it a shot. So what brought you into into being a champion for remote work opportunities?
Actually, just doing it myself, seeing the benefits of what it can bring to your life. It's like you said, you have more time to spend with your family. You're not commuting and spending hours in a vehicle, and just the opportunity to have something that is flexible and that is on your, in your schedule. Of course, you might have to wake up a few hours earlier, but you know what? You can be done in the afternoon, and you can spend time maybe walking during lunch, and you just have that access. And that's why I really want people to know that there are other opportunities, there's other ways to do work in our world, thanks to the internet, thanks to organizations being open to trying new things, and it's possible. So I've always championed people to look for new ways to make money and to make their living.
Absolutely. And before I started publishing this show, I would respond to that with a good hearty God bless America, right? Because we live in the land of opportunity. And I still do. God bless America. We live in the land of opportunity. But I've interviewed so many people from across the world, from Bulgaria to Africa to China to New Zealand. Everybody all over the world has these opportunities that you and I have because of the internet and because of online business and because of we can reach a global marketplace. And I don't know, I'm just super excited about it. So let's hear your story. Let's hear the story of Shayla, why you are now in the intersection of digital marketing, technology, social responsibility, and loving this remote work opportunity. So we kind of chatted a little bit before the show about what was going on in your world and why you're so passionate about this stuff. So I think it's really going to be a fantastic episode for you to share that story with my audience today.
Yes. So a few years back, I was in the nonprofit industry. It all started when I was younger. I was volunteering and giving back to my community. So it was a natural fit for me to go into nonprofit world. And I just saw myself working up the corporate ladder, working into senior management and becoming part of this community that gives back all the time and that's always focused on spreading love and peace and all that good stuff to the world. But that didn't work. It didn't work out that way. Tried and tried for a few years to get full-time employment in that area, and it just wasn't happening. Knocked on doors, called people, really wanted to get my feet wet. And I was trying internships and things of that nature, but just nothing happened. And then I decided to go into entrepreneurship. But again, I still had my nonprofit twist. So doing consulting and freelancing for organizations in the nonprofit sector. And just, again, it just wasn't fitting. People weren't receptive to the message I had to offer and the opportunities I was presenting. And that gave me, I guess, a bitter taste in my mouth, because I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And I just was so focused on sticking to the nonprofit sector because it was what I knew is what I wanted from the get-go. And it dawned on me that I could try something new. And that's when it wasn't until I pushed past that I could not live in this bubble of nonprofits, that I could do something differently. And once that trigger happened in my mind, I got out of that rut of thinking, what was I doing wrong, instead of looking for what can I do right. And that really influenced me to get into content marketing.
So I fully applaud you for having just a great heart and wanting to give back to society, give back to your community, and do great things. But what was it specifically about the nonprofit area where you were working, where you're like, okay, I want to get a full-time job and work here full-time, get paid, and have the income and stability to take care of yourself, so that you can dedicate 100% of your time to helping other people? Why not at the very beginning just look for, hey, I want to find a good career wherever that is, and then give back in volunteer days, or give back with money or other options? What drove you to want to strive to find that full-time job in the nonprofit space?
Because I had already did volunteering. I already did internships and things of that nature. So I saw the people on the other end. So when I would sign up for volunteering, I see the volunteer coordinator who was part of the staff, or I saw the president of the organization speak at a fundraiser. So I was seeing individuals who were actually working and getting paid in the sector. So that really inspired me, and I thought that I could, do both, get paid and be able to inspire others in the community, whether that was in, because two causes that I champion also is college affordability and ending hunger. So I was very deeply in tune with what was happening in those communities, and it felt like the right thing at the time.
Yeah, I feel you, man. If it's your passion and what you dream about, to me, I've always, as a kid and as a young adult, and even now, I look towards mentors. I look to other people. Sometimes, honestly, in my past, when I was a kid, I struggled with goals. I didn't know what goals I wanted until I saw somebody else do something awesome. And I was like, oh my gosh, that was awesome. That person is awesome. I want to be like them, right? I never said I want to play professional sports. I was never a sporty guy. And at the time, there were no professional video game players. So, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on how you look at it, I didn't go down that track. But I just struggled with, I'm not getting a great sense of loving what I see my parents do, and some of my other friends' parents or other family members. Like, I don't understand what they do, so I don't know who to look up to. And it wasn't until I was in my late teens, early 20s, where I was like, yeah, I want to go into the software development space. That is awesome, because I do it for fun. I'm doing it all the time anyway. Like I'm writing code for myself. I'm building video games for myself. I'm taking other people's apps and I'm tearing them apart, reverse engineering them, and building new capabilities on top of them. So why not stick in this space where I'm already working, like you said, for free, kind of doing it anyway? Why not try to find full-time employment there? So, okay, Shayla, back to your story. When you're in this area, you're volunteering, you're working, you're hustling, you see these other opportunities, these other people doing it, and they said, like, no, kid, sorry, like, we're not going to hire you or whatever. How did that feel to you? Like, what emotionally or motivationally did you go through?
Oh, just really was disheartened. Just felt like what was I doing wrong? Did I need to get a new skill? Did I need to know someone else? You really do a lot of introspection of what can I do better, and it wasn't me at the time. Sometimes it is society, it's the rules of the game, it's other factors determine sometimes whether you receive or not receive a certain, maybe a job or promotion or things of that nature. So it was just reflecting and figuring out, okay, maybe this is not what I need to do to make a living, to get paid. Because I still volunteer to this day, but I volunteer on my own terms and I do things my way when it comes to working with nonprofits. But at the time, it wasn't for me to be part of that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. What you said about what can I do better? Well, sometimes it's not what we can do. It's not our skills. It's not how well connected. Sometimes it is what it is. As a hiring manager in the past, I have had multiple people come up to me and say, Chad, how do I get a job in your department, in your company, on your team, or whatever? And it was always, look, when there's an opportunity, apply for it. And I will try to let you know when those opportunities come available. But it is what it is. And like sometimes they say, I applied for this position and you didn't hire me. What happened? It's like, well, that's because there was something else at work. There were other forces at work. And sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about we shifted the direction of that position, right? It was going to be a position that required certain skill sets, and then we transitioned it to something else. Or that position just got shut down and it was out of my control. It was a budget thing or something like that. And unfortunately, when we are seeking these opportunities, when you and I are trying to look for a new job or a new career or a new client or a new whatever it is, sometimes we get shot down, and that can be, like you said, really, really disheartening, because it's like, man, what did I do wrong? How did I screw this up? Like, I failed. But it's not always a failure. It's not always on us. Sometimes it's just, like you said, like that's the way it is.
Yeah, so that's why I decided to just to transition to really do something not necessarily totally different, but to apply it to another industry. And that's when I got into, let me go back to business and what is this content marketing thing, and let me figure out and basically just going back to what's in demand and seeing that there's a gap. Not every industry or every sector you focus on, there's a gap. The people, they are filled. They really are filled. And a lot of people are competing for those jobs. But in some industries, no one is competing, or people have they're not receiving the best quality at the time. They're looking for higher standards, and you could fill that gap with higher standards. So that's what really pushed me. I was talking with my friends, and I'm like, it's over. I'm not doing anything in the nonprofit sector for a while. I'm just going to go in this other direction and see where it goes.
So we talked about your mindset and your motivation at the very beginning when you were trying to seek out and find those full-time positions in nonprofit. But what was the decision point made? Was it just like one day you got fed up and you threw up your hands and you said, forget this, I'm going to switch? Or was it kind of a gradual acceptance of maybe I should start looking for something else?
I guess it was time because a lot of time had passed, like over 4 years, uh, and that's a lot of rejection
Mm.
when you're really trying and emailing a lot of people, calling people on the phone, doing informational interviews, going to places and spending your money to get there, and going to conferences and things of that nature. You see the totals, and it's like the right now the cons are outweighing the pros, and you just have to do your own analysis. Like, this is not working. Something is not right. I need to make a switch. And it was gradual at first, because I was so stuck into saying this was my dream, this was my goal. But once I just started adding the totals of how much money I was putting in and wasn't getting anything back, then it came to the realization that I need to do something else. And if some people, I would always say, do gradually get into things, have a side project, but I just went cold turkey. It was, I was like, I can't do this. I can't mentally do both because I've been hurt. It's almost having a boyfriend. I'm hurt. I don't want to see you for like a year or two. Then we can have a conversation. So I was just so hurt. So I was like, forget it. Let me do something else.
Man, yeah, there is a lot of emotion, like you said, whether you're with a significant other or a relationship, something. It was like it's a big part of you. You said it yourself, like it was your dream. It was what you wanted to do with your life, and when that dream is maybe not crushed, but maybe slowly suffocated, right? Where you can't get any oxygen, you can't get any progress on it. It can be devastating when you finally have to let go. So tell you what, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, I want to talk about what happened once you decided to make the transition and how you've been successful since then. But first, we'll take a quick break and thank our sponsors. This episode of Hello Tech Pros is sponsored by you, the audience. Instead of looking for new corporate sponsors, I've decided to adopt a pay-per-value model. What that means is you decide on how much I get paid. If you're just browsing and have yet to get value out of the show, don't feel obligated to pay a darn thing. However, if this podcast does its intended job of helping you build your career, build your products, or build your business, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. Pick the level of recurring donation that matches the level of value you get out of this show, or make a one-time sponsorship for that big aha moment that have helped turn things around for you. Become a sponsor today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor. Okay, we're back with Shayla Price. Shayla creates and promotes content online, and she works in digital marketing, technology, social responsibility. She's a huge advocate for not only for working remotely, but also for nonprofits and to giving back to the community, giving back to society, especially around college affordability and ending hunger. She spent a lot of time, many years chasing this dream of working as a full-time employee in the nonprofit space so that she could maximize her time of giving back to the community and helping society, but at the same time, taking care of herself and taking care of her responsibilities. And it was recently when she finally made the decision, the realization of, you know what, I gotta do something else. I need to make a change. And how that was so like emotionally impactful, Shayla, when you made that change. You said it was like breaking up with a long-term boyfriend, right? And it felt like I got to get away from this person. I cannot go volunteer. I cannot be in these spaces and see these people for a year or two until I kind of come to a better place and realize that I can do it. So maybe once you made that decision and you decided that you needed to break up from the nonprofit space, like, what was your next step? Did you just start applying for every job that you could find, or did you take some time to meditate, or what did you do?
I really just started researching, looking for industries that were in high demand. Because if I knew they were seeking people, that means I had a possibility of getting a job or starting something new within that industry. So it was a lot of research for a couple of months, and just figuring out what else was out there. And that's when I stumbled upon content marketing. And of course, I have a marketing background from previous years, but I wasn't aware of the whole content marketing combo that was happening. So once I learned about that and saw that there was a demand for writers and marketers in business, and then not only just business but in B2B tech, I grabbed a hold of that and just started looking for opportunities where I could apply my knowledge and provide some value to a company. And when I got paid, I was like, this is it.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. That's fantastic. I'd like to hear a little bit about your research technique, like where you were looking and what you were looking for, how you were doing the searching, who you were talking to, because I've had people approach me in the past, all the time, actually, about looking for a career change, right? Looking either moving to a new company or moving to a new role, or like yourself, like moving completely to a different industry outside of their background for the last 5 or 10 years, right? And so the information that I usually provide is kind of either extremely generic and probably not very helpful, or I try to ask as many leading questions as possible to get down to what are their goals and what are they trying to achieve, what does their future best day ever look like, and how can we set them up for success. So when you started doing your research, like where were you looking for industries in high demand?
I simply went on Google and typed industries in high demand, like
Oh man.
top skills, or top, just one of those listicles they be having. Mm-hmm. And I just went down the list and I was like, I'm going to focus on a skill that I already have. And that was writing and marketing. I had told myself I'm not learning any new skill at this time, because I felt like I had enough. I knew what I was doing. I had so many internships. I had so much work experience with other people. I had enough skill set. I just feel like I wasn't getting paid for that skill set. Right. So once I learned about that gap, I'm like, oh, I'm going to pursue this. I wasn't going to learn how to code. I wasn't going to learn graphic designing. I said, once I get into it with my skill, and if that was necessary to move on, yes, I was going to do whatever was possible, but I was going to use my existing skills first before I even made take a course another option.
I think that's incredibly wise, and unfortunately, I fall into the trap many, many times throughout my life, and I see other people falling into the same trap of I'm not good enough, and I got to go learn something new. I hear about all these industry gurus that are killing it on Facebook ads or on Snapchat or on the latest and greatest coding patterns and techniques or on whatever the newfangled thing is, right? And so many times I have gotten into that trap of research and development and skills and training and going to class and online study and all this kind of effort to, at the end of the day, whether it be a day later, an hour later, a week later, a year later, going, I didn't really like that stuff, and I'm not going to really apply it to anything new. So I just wasted a whole lot of time, whether it be an hour or a year. So I think that was awesome. Congratulations. I think that's a huge lesson that we all need to learn, or a lot of us need to learn, is look at the skill sets that you already have. You don't need to go out and learn something new, but just learn how to apply it, how to apply the skills you already have into a new industry. So when you found this skill that was in demand, they said, okay, we need content marketing. You already knew the marketing side. You already knew how to write. Now, what did you have to do to learn about what is this content marketing and how do I apply my current skill set to that new industry? I
really just did research on the field. So one of my first gigs was writing for SaaS, software as a solution, and I'm like, what is that? I didn't even know what that was, and I just did the research, started learning new terms, and that's not it. That's not. I came into the mix of that. This is not rocket science. I'm not Uh, I'm not working at NASA. I am not working on a body that is currently dying on the table. So
Hmm.
it's not, to me, it's not that, it can't be that difficult. So with that, taking that stress off of myself, I just went in with the notion to learn and to get the terminology. So once I learned the terminology and actually knew what I was talking about, it became easy to just to write about it. And then I would also interview people who actually were doing the skills at the time and applying them, and just ask them questions and apply that to my articles. And then it was just a building up of, oh, after a while I wasn't writing, I was actually doing the things that I was writing about, which gave substance, even more substance to what I was writing about. So it just was a full circle of starting where I was, reading and researching and learning the skill, and then building upon that, so that I'm not only just writing about it, I'm applying the knowledge I've already researched.
That's very interesting, because I hear a lot of people say, "Oh, I can't work in that field. I can't be a blogger. I can't be a writer. I can't be a XYZ because I don't know anything about this industry." And I say, "Look, if you know how to write, then like Shayla, you just said, you can do the research and you can find out about it." Or they say, "I know a lot about the industry, but I'm not a writer. I don't know how to write." And I say, "Okay, well, the answer to that is start writing," right? It's just like podcasting. The only way to get better is to do it. Get on a microphone and start talking. The only way to get better at writing is just like pick up a pen or open up your laptop and start typing, start writing, just start creating content. And over time, you know, it's going to improve. Like, it can only improve.
And that's and also it's humbling to just see the other people who are trying and failing.
Hmm.
And you see the mistakes, you're like, oh, they wrote that, and I'm like, I could do that better. So having life will, you always have somebody that's above you and below you. So you just, everybody's a beginner at some point in their life, and then they become experts. So it's just that circle of life. So you just have to be aware of that. So don't get trapped in your own mind that you can't do something. You have the skill set. You might have to do a little extra research to become better at it. But once you do that, you're like, why didn't I start this sooner?
Fantastic. How did you go and find that first gig where you were writing for the SaaS technology? Where did you find that gig?
A pro blogger job board.
Okay.
So I just went on job boards, and again, I can't even tell you how I found pro blogger. I started off with Elance at the time, which is now Upwork. Did a few gigs there and figured that, oh, I can do this, but might be a lower rate. So I just started finding other job boards and applying for gigs that way, and started getting reoccurring clients and started negotiating higher rates. And you build upon the last one you learn. And I even dipped and got an internship at a company, and to learn additional knowledge, and took a quote unquote pay cut just to learn additional knowledge. I used that knowledge to actually help me with the presentation. So whatever you learn at a specific gig, you should be carrying that to the next one, and then the next one. So it's a reoccurring cycle, so that you're building on your skills, you're building your knowledge, and that you're constantly evolving, because that's what people want. You want the worker who has work ethic and who is knowledgeable about the work at hand.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are traits that are very, very difficult to teach, right? So that go-getter attitude, that I'm gonna be a consummate learner. I'm gonna constantly learn something new, and I'm going to apply it forward. I'm going to strategically think about my skill sets and the job at hand, and try to figure out what I can apply from my skill set to this job to make it the best I possibly can. And that work ethic, right? Those are things that are really difficult to teach unless you get people young. Like kindergartners, right? It's hard to teach a 30-year-old man or woman, like, hey, here's what work ethic is, and this is why I want you to do a better job than you're currently doing. But if they come in with that work ethic, man, I cannot speak today. You can say, okay, now here's a new skill. Maybe you haven't done blogging before. Maybe you haven't done content marketing. Maybe you haven't done WordPress, or maybe you haven't done Adobe Audition, which I'm recording this in, or maybe you haven't, you don't know how to write this kind of script in this kind of scripting language, or whatever it is. Those things can be taught. Those things can be learned, but those innate talents and those the things about you, your work ethic and morals and stuff like that, the culture things are really, really difficult to find, or they're almost impossible to teach, and they can be very valuable when you're a hiring manager trying to find someone that has them. So Shayla, before we go, tell us a little bit about your experience once you dove into this realm. Once you got that first job, and then since then you've had a lot of different experiences with, ups and downs and the pay cuts and getting new experiences and building your business. At the beginning, you talked about the story where it was like, it was very, very difficult to get any traction and to do anything in the world of nonprofit space, right? But now that you're working into the B2B space in content marketing, what's that experience been like overall?
It's been very rewarding. I feel like I am moving in a different direction that is good for my career, and it's helping me learn a whole nother space that I didn't even think was possible. And once I got one gig, I got another, and I got another, and I just learned as much as I could. And now, like, I have to turn down writing gigs and marketing gigs. I literally have to no, I'm not available at this time. So it's nice to see that now I'm not looking for a industry that's in demand. I'm the person that's in demand. So awesome. That really is exciting and gets me motivated to not only learn myself, but also teach others, because that's what I think it's all about. Once you learn something, it's like, oh man, I'm doing great. I need to tell somebody this. So that's what I do with my presentations. I'm always teaching other people, not only about content marketing, but also about the skills that are necessary to become a great content marketer.
Awesome. Well, if we could reach out to you and find out more information, let us know where we can find you online and how we can get a hold of you.
Of course, you can find me on Twitter at Shayla Price, and feel free to DM me, tweet me. I will always answer, maybe not within the 24 hours, but I would definitely love to hear from people and what their experiences are.
Awesome. And I almost missed, oh my gosh, and I'm surprised you hadn't called me out on this, because I know you're a listener to the show. I almost missed our final words of wisdom. So before we go, please share any final words of wisdom that you have for the audience, and then we'll say goodbye.
Get out of your own head. Do something different. And if you're getting stuck, maybe it's time to move on to something else.
Awesome. Shayla, thank you so much for joining me on Hello Tech Pros today. This is content that I feel is extremely valuable at all stages of life and business. Whether you're just starting your career, you're moving out of high school or out of college into your first jobs, or if you're in an established career and you've been doing it a long time, like I was when I moved out of the oil and gas industry a couple of years ago, and then in 2016 when I started the Hello Tech Pros podcast. Or if you're a person who's looking to retire, my cousin's wife just contacted me over the holiday break and said, "Hey Chad, I know you're teaching people how to start online business and stuff. Like, I want to retire, but I still want to have a little income. Like, what can I do on the side?" So no matter where you are in life and business, there's never a wrong time to ask these questions and to look at yourself and, as Shayla said, get out of your head and take a look at what's going on. So Shayla, I really appreciate you coming on the show and sharing that with us today.
Thank you so much.
You bet. Tech Pros, if you are interested in starting your own business, but you have no idea where to start, I've got a free 7-day audio and email course that I would love to share with you. I will give you the 7 ways that you can get your business started. It's not about the taxes. It's not about how to, whether you should start an LLC or an S Corp or any of that garbage. It's not about the logo design on your business card or anything like that. It's really about getting in touch with the thing that you're going to be motivated about and how you can find the right customers in order to provide them the best level of service or product that they need and what that product or service is. And so a 7-day free audio and email course about that. You can get access to that at hellotechpros.com/start to start your first business. hellotechpros.com/start. You've been listening to Shayla Price, and I'm Chad Bostic. And until next time, take care. The show notes page for this episode can be found at hellotechpros.com/266. Do you use Slack for team communication? Join the Hello Tech Pros Slack channel at hellotechpros.com/Slack. If this episode helped you out in any way, please leave a review on iTunes and let me know what you thought. iTunes reviews helps our rankings, which helps us grow the Hello Tech Pros podcast to a broader audience, which helps more technical professionals and techpreneurs build their career, build their products, and build their businesses. If you are a subscriber and get repeat value out of this show, consider becoming a sponsor on Patreon. The information on this podcast is free to everyone, but I'm giving you the opportunity to pay for the value you get out of it, starting as little as $1 a month. Pledge your support today at patreon.com/hellotechpros or visit hellotechpros.com/sponsor.